പാർട്ടി കോൺഗ്രസ് 23-ാം പാർട്ടി കോൺഗ്രസിൽ അവതരിപ്പിക്കുന്ന രാഷ്ട്രീയ പ്രമേയ കരട് റിലീസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. അതിന്റെ തത്സമയ ദൃശ്യങ്ങളാണ് നമ്മൾ ദില്ലിയിൽ നിന്നും.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hi, you know everybody here. That's Comrade Tapan Sen, also our working class leader, Comrade Hanan Mullah of the Kisan struggle fame at the moment, Comrade Raghavlu, Comrade Nilutpal Vasu. So, the CPIM practices a very vibrant inner-party democracy. We are probably the only party in the country which mandatorily has to release the draft political resolution that it adopts at every party congress 2 months before the party congress convenes. The party congress is scheduled as of now to convene from the 6th of April at Kannur in Kerala. So before the 6th of February, this has to be released, and therefore it is being released today, and it will be translated in all the regional languages and available to the party members, and every single party member has the right to send an amendment, a suggestion on this draft, which will be considered at the party congress, and we have a report on amendments which actually shows how the party is thinking and what is the inner party understanding on various issues. A report on amendments is presented and adopted by the party congress. So that is the elaborate procedure of inner party democracy that we follow. And usually some thousands of amendments come, suggestions come, which are all considered and replied to, and that report adopted by the party congress. So this 23rd party congress is being held 4 years after our 22nd party congress. During this period, we have circulated some extracts out of this resolution. So that essentially contains the essence of what this political resolution says. The first point is that during these 4 years, there's been a further consolidation of the BJP, which, being in government, is aggressively pursuing the Hindutva agenda of the fascistic RSS. It has mounted a multi-pronged attack to the pursuit of rabid neoliberal reforms, strengthening the communal corporate nexus in the country, looting of our national assets, promoting crony capitalism, legalizing political corruption, and imposing full-fledged authoritarianism in the country. Particularly since its return in 2019, and that return was on the basis of scripting a communal nationalist jingoistic narrative. And having returned to government, it has mounted a systematic assault on all the fundamental pillars of our secular democratic constitution. Its first act was the dissolution of the state of J&K, abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. This was followed very soon with the enactment of the unconstitutional Citizenship Amendment Act, and a process began where people's democratic rights and civil liberties were being violated through the gross misuse of draconian laws like the UAPA, sedition, NSA, etc. And there has been a conscious effort to try and change the character of the Indian Republic. But this period also saw the growth of very big people's struggles. Even before the 2019 elections, there were big people's mobilizations, and particularly the growing unity between the working class, the peasantry, and the agricultural labor. which began before 2019, that got momentum subsequently after 2019. The trade unions, the central trade unions have been on a virtual warpath, calling for an all India strikes every year, almost, and this year it is now slated to be on the 27th and 28th of March. 28th and 29th of March. And every year this is against the new labor codes, the abolition of the existing labor laws, against large-scale privatization, and against the large-scale layoffs and job losses that have been happening in the country. But the crowning highlight of this was the historic struggle of the Indian farmers, which ultimately forced the obstinate and obdurate Prime Minister to actually repeal the agri laws. And that was a historic success. And before that, the anti-CAA movement saw a big upsurge in terms of our youth coming out, holding the Constitution of India in one hand and the tricolour on the other. So this was also a period of growing struggles, which will also grow. But this has also been a period where India has further cemented itself as a subordinate ally of US imperialism. India today is a junior partner of the global designs of USA in its military, strategic understandings and alliances. And this has had a very negative and is having a very negative impact on India's relations with all our neighbors and also in India's standing in global affairs as an independent voice, as a country following an independent foreign policy. That independent foreign policy that has been virtually abandoned by the Modi government, and today India is seen as a surrogate or an appendage of USA in global affairs. Now, this leading to deterioration of relations with our neighbors is happening in the background of serious international developments that the resolution elaborates and analyzes. But the main task that we have taken for ourselves, which will be considered and will be adopted by the 23rd Congress, is that in these conditions, the primary task before us is to defeat the BJP and remove them from controlling the reins of government. So this task of isolating and defeating the BJP requires, which we elaborate in our political line, it requires first and foremost the independent strengthening of the CPIM. It requires the further strengthening of the unity of the left forces, the left parties, and the party shall work for the broadest possible mobilization of secular forces against Hindutva agenda and its manner in which it is functioning. The party will also be in the forefront to mobilize the widest sections of the people against the aggressive pursuit of the neoliberal policies and all that is happening, the loot of national assets, privatization, etc., and intensifying class and mass struggles like the recent Kisan struggle that has happened, and work for the broadest mobilization of people rallying of secular opposition forces against the corporate communal regime. And this struggle against the Hindutva agenda and neoliberalism and the defense of people's civil liberties and democratic rights against authoritarianism, these are not separate struggles but are all integrated into one integral struggle against this regime and its policies. The party will also support joint platforms of united actions of the class and mass organizations will support the measures that strengthen the worker peasant agricultural labor united actions. And on that basis, a sustained manner in which to strengthen the party independently, strengthen the unity of the left forces, to promote and to put before the people the alternative left and democratic program as the real alternative to the policies that are being pursued, and on that basis to achieve our task of isolating and defeating the BJP. So the political line, finally, we say, as and when elections come, appropriate electoral tactics to maximize the pooling of anti-BJP votes will be adopted based on this above political line understanding. So electoral tactics will be guided by the maximization of the pooling of anti-BJP votes in order to achieve this objective of defeating the BJP. So on the basis of this political understanding and this proposed political line before the party Congress, the tasks of the party that have been worked out, that is also there in the extracts that we have given you, which actually follow in order to achieve the implementation of this political line. So this, in a summary, in a nutshell, is the essence of the political resolution, draft political resolution that is placed before you. And it, as I said, in detail, it carries out our understanding of the international situation, the growing aggressiveness of US imperialism, the manner in which a new world order is sought to be shaped post-COVID situation, which is what the USA is trying to strengthen its hegemony over the world and its grip over the world. All these factors and the developments in Afghanistan, etc., everything of that is analyzed in this. From there, we draw our conclusions and the tasks that are there before the party. So this is, in a nutshell, the essence of the draft political resolution. So if you want, now the floor is yours. If you want, have any questions to ask.
सर, आपने कहा कि लक्ष्य यही रहेगा कि मैक्सिमाइज किया जाए पोलिंग एंटी बीजेपी जो वोट एक जगह लाया जाए। तो इसकी अगर यही मैक्सिमम गोल है आपका, तो बंगाल और त्रिपुरा में फिर क्या होगा स्टैंड वहाँ पे, क्योंकि वहाँ पे तो बीजेपी एक जगह सरकार में, एक जगह में अपोजिशन पार्टी है, और बाकी पार्टियों के साथ क्या यही नीति रहेगी कि एंटी बीजेपी फोर्सेस सारे एक जगह पर जाएं?
देखिए, इसी के अंदर भी वो डिटेल में नहीं गया, एक पूरा सेक्शन है ऑन अदर पार्टीज, पेज 60 से अगर आप देखेंगे तो आप देखेंगे द अदर पार्टीज, मतलब सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के बारे में जो जहाँ तक रीजनल पार्टीज है, जहाँ तक रीजनल पार्टीज है, हमारी मतलब रुझान उनके साथ यही है कि जहाँ पर भी उनकी जो राजनीतिक परिस्थिति रुझान है उसके ऊपर आधारित रहेगी कि उनके साथ हमारा तालमेल या व्यवहार कैसे होगा। जैसे आज आपके कई सारे जगह पर पार्टियां हैं जो पार्लियामेंट के अंदर बीजेपी की समर्थन करते हैं, लेकिन राज्यों के अंदर शासक पार्टी है। अब ऐसे पार्टियों के साथ भी उनका क्या रुझान होगा बीजेपी के प्रति, उसके आधार पर हम तय करेंगे। दूसरी, उनकी क्या रुझान है हमारे प्रति, यानी अब ये क्रांतिकारी आंदोलन के प्रति क्या है, लोगों की समस्याओं के ऊपर जो संघर्ष हो रहे हैं उसके बारे में उनकी क्या रुझान है। ऐसे पार्टियां जो उनके ऊपर हमला करते हैं उनके साथ जाने की कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनती, और उस कैटेगरी में आ जाता है आपका बंगाल का सिचुएशन। तो वो उस तरीके से हम ठोस रूप से हर प्रांत में वहाँ का रीजनल पार्टी, शासक रीजनल पार्टी किस तरीके से व्यवहार कर रही है इन दोनों सवालों पे, बीजेपी के प्रति, जन आंदोलनों के प्रति, इन दोनों के सवालों पे किस तरीके से वो अपनी रुझान ले रही है, उसके ऊपर आधारित रहेगा।
त्रिपुरा में फिर कांग्रेस के साथ कुछ हो सकता है?
अब देखिए कांग्रेस क्या करती है वो देखिए, कांग्रेस के बारे में भी तो लिखा है यहीं पर। अब है क्या, वो भी एक चिंता है त्रिपुरा में। आधा तो चली गई थी तृणमूल में, अब बाकी आधा तो अलग होके कोई नई पार्टी बन गई।
सर, अगर बीजेपी को हराना है तो 5 राज्यों में जो असेंबली इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं उसमें
हमारी 5 राज्यों के अंदर हमारा स्पष्ट है, हमारा रुझान, हमारा ऐलान, हमारा अपील लोगों को कि बीजेपी को हराना। जहाँ पर भी ये संभव है बाकी ताकतों के साथ मिलकर अगर चुनाव लड़ने के लिए वहाँ पर लड़ रहे हैं, वरना हमारी पार्टी कम से कम सीटों पे लड़ेगी। जैसे यूपी में हम 4 पे लड़ रहे हैं सिर्फ, बाकी सब जगह हमने कहा बीजेपी को हराओ। और जाहिर है वहाँ पे मेन ताकत जो बीजेपी को हराने वाली जो क्षमता रखती है वो है समाजवादी पार्टी, तो हम उसकी समर्थन करेंगे। उसी तरीके से पंजाब के अंदर भी बीजेपी को हराना कौन होगा हर कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में जहाँ पर ये संभव है, कौन हरा सकता है, उनकी समर्थन रहेगी हमारी। और जाहिर है ज़्यादातर जगह पे तो वो तो रहेगी कांग्रेस की। जो भी हरा सकता है बीजेपी को, उनको जो है हमारी समर्थन रहेगी।
तो सर किसी पार्टी के लीडरशिप से आपकी स्पेसिफिक बातचीत नहीं है? आप लोग लोकल लेवल पे जो कैंडिडेट विजेबल होगा या डिफीट कर सकेगा उसको आप लोग सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, लीडरशिप से क्यों नहीं हो रही बात हुई है, सभी लोगों से हो रही है बात भी। और बहुत सारी जगह पर उसी के आधार पर जो है ये निर्णय लिए गए हैं, क्योंकि मुख्य लक्ष्य होगा बीजेपी को हराना। और उसके लिए ये एंटी बीजेपी वोट्स को मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए हमारी पार्टी की पूरी रणनीति रहेगी। हाँ, लड़ रहे हैं। चलो। वो
आइडियोलॉजिकल पार्टी है ना आप लोग।
हाँ,
कांग्रेस भी अपने आप को आइडियोलॉजिकल पार्टी करती है, लेकिन बीजेपी को हेड ऑन जो है आइडियोलॉजिकल बेसिस पर आप क्यों नहीं काउंटर कर पा रहे हैं?
नहीं यहाँ पे है ना हाउ ये
कई पार्टियां
मेरी गुजारिश यही है, थोड़ा इस पर नज़र डालिए एटलीस्ट द हेडिंग्स पे। एक पूरा सेक्शन है हाउ टू कॉम्बैट द हिंदुत्व फोर्सेस एज CPIM एज द लेफ्ट, मतलब क्या क्या इसके लिए करने की ज़रूरत है। और जो पॉइंट आपने कहा सिद्धांतिक रूप से, विचारधारात्मक रूप से उनका जो मुकाबला करना है उसकी ज़रूरत को अंडरलाइन किया हुआ है। और ये भी अंडरलाइन किया हुआ है कि इसके साथ लड़ाई जो होगी सिद्धांतिक लड़ाई है, वो लड़ाई है सेकुलरिज्म वर्सेस कम्युनलिज्म के बीच में। वो ये नहीं है कि सॉफ्ट हिंदुत्व वर्सेस हार्ड हिंदुत्व। उस टेरेन में एजेंडे में जाएंगे आप तो फ़ायदा उन्हीं को है। सवाल ये है कि आस्था और धर्म अपनी जगह, हर व्यक्ति का जिसका पूरा का पूरा अधिकार है उस व्यक्ति का, और उसका संरक्षण करना सरकार और कानून की जिम्मेदारी है। लेकिन वहाँ पे आस्था और धर्म एक व्यक्तिगत आधार पर वो उसकी जगह वो है, और राजनीति और सरकार उसकी नीतियाँ वो अपनी जगह पर वो अलग होगी धर्म और आस्था से, जहाँ पर वो तो संविधान के अंदर जो प्रिंसिपल है इक्वालिटी, पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल, फॉर ऑल इर्रेस्पेक्टिव, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कोट कर रहा हूँ, इर्रेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ कास्ट, क्रीड और सेक्स अनकोट, ये आपका संविधान है। वो प्रिंसिपल होनी चाहिए जिसके आधार पर उनके खिलाफ लड़ाई, ये संघर्ष और लड़ाई है।
Is there any significant shift or change from the 22nd Party Congress in the political line?
Well, the shift and the change is that the need to defeat and the BJP is much more pronounced now than the last Party Congress. And the last 4 years, that's exactly what we begin with. The last 4 years have brought out this need in a more pronounced manner, in a more urgent manner. So therefore, we have said the broadest mobilization of all secular forces against Hindutva. When do you have any?
tactical change.
Meaning?
Tactical change.
No, tactical change meaning or?
In party, like for political line to combat BJP.
No, this is the tactic, what I laid out now, that is the tactical line that we have worked out, that in order to isolate and defeat the BJP, what all needs to be done, as I said earlier, only I'll have to repeat, first strengthen ourselves, strengthen left unity, strengthen the broadest mobilization of secular forces against Hindutva, then build the broadest alliance or coalition of all those willing to oppose the neoliberal reforms, the loot of our country, etc., etc. The broadest possible mobilization and defense of democratic rights and civil liberties of the people against all these attacks and the misuse of UAPA sedition and the other laws, draconian laws. And independent strength based on livelihood issues. That is what. And intensifying our class and mass struggles on people's issues and the basic livelihood issues.
What is the lesson the CPM learned from the Kisan struggle? How that will, what is the lesson the CPM learned from the Kisan struggle? How that will reflect in your future party function?
How?
That will reflect in your future party function.
Though the unity that was displayed in the Kisan struggle is of immense significance. And the fact that it was the Kisans, peasantry as a whole, we have analyzed that here. This struggle has led to new conflicts that are emerging in Indian ruling classes. The Indian ruling classes, led by the big bourgeoisie in our country, or the big capitalists, it was an alliance of the capitalists and the landlords. Now you see that for the first time, in such a sustained manner, for a year-long manner, the entire peasantry, including the rich peasant, raged against the leadership of the ruling classes, that is the big corporates. This is a new development that has happened. That opens up immense possibilities of new allies against these neoliberal reforms, which are patently based on crony capitalism and promoting certain crony corporates. This is one contradiction. The other that is emerging is between big capital and your small capital, your MSMEs versus organized big corporate capital, your small-scale industries, your informal economy against the organized formal economy. The way the informal economy had been destroyed, and it is sought to be taken over by big corporates in that whole area, that has led to massive leaps of unemployment and joblessness. So informal sector's destruction and the promotion of big corporate capital is leading to a new conflict between the small and the big capitalists. So, and the third is that with this entire drive for a unitary state structure, which Hindutva requires, the attack on federalism that is happening, that we detailed in our resolution, this is pushing many a regional party, a ruling regional party, into a position of opposition and conflict with the ruling national party, that is the BJP. So the question of sustaining a pro-BJP position at the national level and an anti-BJP position at the state level cannot coexist for long. That opens up newer possibilities. All these were thrown up because of the success of the Kisan struggle and the sustained and unified manner in which they conducted it for the whole year. So these struggles, and the most important of that aspect of the struggle was that growing unity between the trade union movement, the Kisan organizations movement, and the agricultural labor movement. This is the future, pointer towards the future of a class alliance between the working class, the peasantry, and the worker-peasant alliance, which will be the basic force driving against all that is being followed by the ruling classes in our country. That is the emergence of that, the beginnings of that have been laid out through this struggle. So these are the important things that the party has learned, we have noted.
Can you repeat the past point? Are you saying that Buddhism and Proletariat are coming together?
Who?
In your past point.
Ah.
Are you saying that Buddhists are coming together? Buddhism and Proletariat?
No. What I was saying is, the first point was that the peasantry as a whole is ranged against the bourgeoisie. And this entire Kisan struggle, the main focus was what? Adani Ambani. I mean, you're saying you're handing over the Indian agriculture and the wealth of our harvests to these two corporates. So that is the new conflict that has come.
You are proposing a left-hand democratic program in this draft. So the realization crisis of agriculture sector and the MSME sector is increasing. Unemployment is increasing, and the dependency on foreign loans are also increasing. So what is the importance of this left-hand democratic program you are proposing to this draft?
No, this is only the outline of the left-hand democratic. But that will have to be fleshed out more detailed. That will be done subsequently. But the question is, what we are proposing is an alternative set of policies. Agriculture, for instance, since you raised that issue. One of the main thrusts that we are talking about in agriculture is through cooperatives, not only for right now financing and cooperative financing of agriculture, etc., but in production and in marketing. That is the direction in which we should move. Like in your industry, stopping this large-scale privatization, safeguarding your public sector as the main bulwark of India's economic sovereignty. These, like this, alternative policies are being outlined for every section. That is the point. Left-hand democratic program is really what is our understanding of the class alternative in terms of policy direction to what is being followed by the ruling classes today. I'm sorry, ma'am, you had a... Yeah.
In the context of the political resolution where you have an entire section on way to combat Hindutva, in that context I want to ask, in January, your state secretary in Kerala had said, and I quote...
Who said?
The state secretary, Kairali, had said in January, and I quote, the CPM is a party that gives membership to religious people. The party constitution does not say that membership should not be given to religious people.
Sorry, a little slower with your mask on. We can't really...
He had said that the CPIM is a party that gives membership to religious people. The party constitution does not say that membership should not be given to religious people. The CPM is not against any religion or faith. A religious person in the party will have the freedom to attend places of worship. In that context, and now that you have this entire section, combat Hindutva, is the CPM trying to regain the religious spaces to sort of reaffirm?
You see, not at all. There's no contradiction or confusion on that. Anti-Hindutva does not mean anti-religion. Please understand, and that's what I was trying to explain when I was trying to explain here, that religion, the faith, every individual has the right to choose his or her faith, adopt his or her God. And nobody can say, my God is better than your God. So every individual can choose his God, and that right the individual has. And protection of that right is a guarantee that the Constitution gives, and that is something that is inalienable, that must be implemented. But mixing up religion with politics or with governance, that is anti-secular. And that is what characterizes Hindutva. So we have to separate religion in its space as the individual right and the functioning of the state on strictly secular principles of separation of religion from politics and the state. That is the meaning. So if the party constitution doesn't say you have to be an atheist to be a communist, but being a communist, you will move towards atheism, like all of us have done. No, because of these understandings, the ideology, the scientific basis of Marxism and communism, on that basis you will move towards that, but that's not a precondition.
23-ാം പാർട്ടി കോൺഗ്രസിൽ അവതരിപ്പിക്കേണ്ട കരട് രാഷ്ട്രീയ പ്രമേയം പുറത്തിറക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് CPIM ജനറൽ സെക്രട്ടറി സീതാറാം യെച്ചൂരി മാധ്യമങ്ങളോട് സംസാരിക്കുകയാണ്. ദില്ലിയിൽ അതിൻ്റെ തത്സമയ സംപ്രേഷണമാണ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടത്. BJPയെ തോൽപ്പിക്കുകയാണ് ലക്ഷ്യം BJP വിരുദ്ധ വോട്ടുകൾ ഏകോപിപ്പിക്കും, CPIM-ന്റെ ശക്തി വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കും, അമേരിക്കയുടെ ജൂനിയർ പാർട്ണറായി ഇന്ത്യ മാറിയിരിക്കുന്നു, BJP-യുടെ ജനാധിപത്യത്തെ അടിച്ചമർത്തുന്ന ഒരു കാഴ്ചയാണ് ഈ ഘട്ടത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ വേണ്ടി കഴിയുന്നത്. ഇത്തരത്തിൽ സമീപകാലത്ത് കണ്ട രാഷ്ട്രീയ പരിസരങ്ങളെയെല്ലാം പരാമർശിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ള കരട് രാഷ്ട്രീയ പ്രമേയമാണ് 23-ാം പാർട്ടി കോൺഗ്രസിൽ അവതരിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി പോകുന്നത്. അത് പുറത്തിറങ്ങുന്ന ചടങ്ങിലാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ യെച്ചൂരി മാധ്യമങ്ങളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്.